Okay. So yeah, so he was talking about, and this is real life, real talk, voices from behind the wall. But he was talking about how the Asian community, their numbers are very small in the voting pool. And and basically he said, almost verbatim, is that because they don't care about that. They know that that's not what's going to save them. They know that the dependence upon their community and their close knit, how they stick together as a community, that's what's actually going to save them. Their own economic empowerment is actually what's going to save them. And they realize that, and he specifically said Hillary Clinton, they realize that Hillary is not going to save them. Trump is definitely not going to save them. They are going to save themselves. So while we're on this, and he even said it's totally crazy why we get on this kick, like we feel like we have to vote, and we are almost to the point where it's hyper vigilant about voting, like let's get out here and let's, and he was just like, we got to depend on one another. The vote that's not going to help us. Hillary's not going to help us. And he said something that I've been thinking. He said he doesn't even know if Hillary's going to make it to the end of the month, because her health, something is going on. But and then there was a report with this Dr. Omalu. If you've been on YouTube, I do a lot of news stuff on Dr. Boyce's channel on YouTube. So if you're not checking that out, check that out. I do short news clips and stuff. But there's a doctor, this Dr. Omalu, who actually was the same doctor who did diagnose the concussions in football players, and I think Will Smith played his part, was acting as him in the movie Concussion. He basically said that maybe Hillary might even be poisoned. That the Russians might have poisoned her to get Trump in office. I don't know how much that is, but I do know that she is sick. But what I want to talk about this segment and is when does the negotiation stop? When do we stop talking? And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I had this conversation. It was a beautiful experience, first and foremost. Let me say, first of all, I love ATL. Love ATL, and I love the people. Met a brother who flew in from Denver, and we were having a conversation. And another brother who just moved down here, he's living down here, and we were having a conversation about our interactions and conversations on race with white people. And here's my premise, and I'll take you through a little journey. So when I was in prison, this is what and you I believe you heard the segment that I did where I was talking about the tables as being the land, like everything is like territorial, and it's designed like that. One, it's designed like that on purpose to keep people divided, because if you can keep people divided, if you can keep 2,500 men on a compound, if you can keep them divided and fighting amongst each other, well, if you're a staff member, that's beneficial to you. That works in your favor all day, because as long as the men are divided, they're not looking at you for the injustices that you're doing. They're not bringing that havoc and that mayhem to you. They're not going back to their cells looking at their cases and saying, you know what, this court system really jacked me up, and then all of them getting together and deciding that they're going to take that frustration out on you, the guard. So it's in the guard's best interest to make sure everybody stays divided. And in prison, it's divided amongst race. Kind of like it is out here. But here's the thing. So there's a point where you negotiate, like with the tables, and why it's so important, and why I made the comparison with the tables and land is because what happens is somebody comes and sits at your table and you don't check that, and then the next day they have their partner come sit at the table and you don't check it. You don't say nothing. You're passive. And then the next day, they have two more guys come sit at the table. Well, guess what? Now it's their table. And so now when you go to try to, now you might not even be able to sit at the table. Because they're like, no, this is our table now, because they've basically taken it over. They tested you. They put one person there. You didn't address that issue. So now they're going to put somebody else there, and so on and so forth. So you get tested. That's kind of how that's why Europe and China and everybody else is so knee deep in Africa right now, because they just send in people, and bam, if once it's not tested, once it's not checked, then you're screwed, because now you got a real battle. But here's where the negotiate, and so I use the metaphor as the tables, but here's what happened. Here's what happens. Okay, so if a brother gets attacked, or if a brother gets killed, or if a brother gets stabbed, and it's by somebody who's white, here's what happens. Well, where is he from? Okay, the brother's from Cali, so it's on the Cali guys to deal with that, and you know, there might be a few other revolutionary brothers that are like, nah, we ain't playing that state stuff. We all in this. But for the most part, it's Cali's problem. It's Cali's. And it's unfortunate, because everybody else is looking out to see what California is going to do, what these guys are going to do. And I'm just using them as a metaphor. It could be New York. It could be Atlanta. It could be anybody. It could be any particular geographical region where you're from. That's how messed up we are as a people. So okay. Let's say for the say it was Florida. So a guy from Florida gets stabbed, a black brother from Florida gets stabbed by a white guy. So everybody's going to be looking to see how Florida moves out on the white guys. Instead of all the brothers banding together, they're going to, but here's the thing, is that white guys, you got your ABs, you got your skinheads, you got a few different supremacist groups. And then you have your regular white guys who they're not affiliated with anything, although we know white skin privilege does, you're going to reap the benefits of white skin privilege whether you're with it or not. But they're not with any, they don't have any allegiance to any real racist group. They don't affiliate themselves with the Aryan Brotherhood. They don't affiliate themselves with the skinheads. Something happens to one of them. White boys is moving. They're going to plan and see that. Here's the thing with the white dudes is they will wait you out. They will wait you out and rock you to sleep. They will wait you out and wait 6, 7, 8 months where you think it's forgotten, where you think that done deal. And you know what? It might not have. The white dude might have been in the wrong who got the business. He might have actually been in the wrong. But they're coming to make a statement. They're coming to make a statement. And so and those dynamics, they don't happen with us like that. We are so divided. But the thing is so you got, and what happens is there is no negotiation. There's no talking. There's no talking. There's no negotiation. The end of the day, if you hurt one of our people, we're not talking about that. We don't talk about that. That's no negotiate. Negotiate for what? No, because you know the rule. The rules are this. You negotiate before you put your hands on our people. That's when the negotiation, bruh, you the leader, I need to talk to you because your guy disrespected. And then the leaders get together and then they talk and that's how it goes. But once you step over that line, and you put hands on one of our people, the negotiation, there is no negotiation. It's war. That's it. And so I say all that to say that from a moral standpoint, we win every. And I'm talking out here now. So we're out of prison. So I'm talking out here in the bigger scheme of things. And so from a moral standpoint, we win every moral argument. Yeah, Breeze, exactly. Share this. So please. But from a moral standpoint, we win every moral argument. We can win it. We outright. White people will say, yeah, you got a point. You're right. I mean, even Skip Bayless. Skip will say, well, yeah, you're right. What can we do to fix it? So from a moral standpoint, white people, we can beat them all day and say, this is what you did, this is what your ancestors did, this is... You're right. You're right. Man, you robbed us of this. You're right. You know, that's too bad. Because you're not going to do anything. And we know it. And so that's the point, is that they have that belief like, yo, yeah, we did this, and this. We know what we did. And guess what? You're not gonna take it back. You're not gonna take it back. So what now? Get it like Tyson. And so we have to get to a point where again, I say men don't beg. Men don't beg. And so we have to get to a point where we stop. I mean, it's cool to talk amongst us, but we have to get to a point, man, where we stop talking to them. And this is the advice that I gave the brother. You have some white people who are well aware, who are conscious, who are when it comes to racial, they're on it. I got some friends on here who's on it, who's like, yeah, bruh, you right, go in on them. Exactly, and whatever aid and assistance you need, I got you. And so you got some white people you got some who are more aware than some blacks. And so about our issue, they're more aware. And so, but for the most part, most of them don't want to hear it. Because, there's something about the spirit of conviction. There's something about having to look at yourself in the mirror. It was funny because they had this coach on. Talking about, and the one thing he missed, they had this coach on from Clemson, and a brother sent it to me in the feed. He was talking about, he didn't agree with Colin Kaepernick's stance. He appreciated, he said it was, he didn't have any disagreement with what he was doing, but he didn't think that this was the format. He thought that there was other ways that he should have did it. And then he mentioned Martin Luther King as being like the greatest leader on the face of the earth. And he gave his reasons why. And then he said, let's just go back to the 10 commandments. He said, let's go back to the 10 commandments. If you just follow 2 commandments, love the Lord God with all your heart, soul, and everything. And then love your neighbor as you love yourself. Stop right there, though. Because at the end of the day, many white people don't consider us their neighbor. But it goes even deeper than that, because at the end of the day, if you love your neighbor as you love yourself, I would say that they're dealing with a great deal of self-hate. They don't love themselves. So how could they ever love us? They don't love themselves. And so they're never going to love us, especially when it comes to making sure that the white supremacist doctrine is kept up there, and that policy is followed to the fullest. And so my thing is, all the talking and rapping. We've been doing that. We've been marching. We've been talking. We've been trying to explain what. We don't need to explain what happened to us. We know what happened to us. We know the atrocities that we and our ancestors have been through. We don't need to figure that out. What we need to do, this is what we need to do. We need to build a base of love with us. And we also need to go back further than slavery, go back further than 1593. We need to figure out what we were doing successful to keep Kemet and how we fell. We need to figure out what we were doing successfully to keep Egypt and how we fell. We need to figure out what the Moors did to put a foothold on the dark ages of Egypt, on the dark ages of Europe, and bring them out of the dark ages into the light, what they did in that 800-year time span. That's what we need to figure out. Because once we figure that out, once we see how successful we were and what happened to make us fall out of grace, then we can start the building of, because we can use those same principles. We can use those same building blocks as a foundation. Forget trying to convince people that you've tried to convince for 400 years that they're not listening. So there comes a point when somebody's not listening, you got to stop talking. There's no more talking. We need to talk with us. We need to build with us. But we need to go back to those lessons. That's why reading is so important. So we need to get those books out. Destruction of Black Civilization. We need to know what Sheikh Anta Diop was talking about, why he was able to go back to the French 4 different times and they finally had to bow down and say, yeah, we submit. You're right. We need to get into those books and figure out how was Kemet so successful? We also need to figure out where those stolen books are, like those 60 million that they took up out of Egypt and got them over there in Egypt, but they got some over there in the Vatican in the basement. We need to figure out, because there's esoteric teachings in there. There's a bunch of stuff, a bunch of knowledge that is ours. That is ours. See, we need to get back in the books. Forget trying to dialogue with them. Forget trying to convince them that they are the treacherous people that they know they are. They know they are. They know they go around the earth rape, robbing, and pillaging. You think they don't know that? They know that. But again, their question is, what are you going to do to stop me? I got the biggest guns. And so, my name is Yarima Karama, man. I just wanted to express that, because I think a lot of times we do more convincing of them than we do teaching our own people. And that's what it's about right now, teaching our own. So peace, blessings, salutations. Yarima Karama, voices from behind the wall. Until next time.